gentlemen, welcome to our official webinar around building a sustainable workforce, the business case for yes, which we are super excited about. So thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for joining us, for availing yourself in what I hope will be an insightful hour. My name is Thabo Moloi, and not only do I have the privilege of looking after the business development team here at the Youth Employment Service, but I also have the humbling honor of being your host today. And like I said, what I hope to be a great hour. I'm joined by a fantastic panel of beautiful, lovely, smart, insightful ladies who represent our clients and our channel partners, because the work that we do, we cannot do in isolation. So looking forward to having a fantastic chat with them. So if I may just ask, we do have a chat function where you can submit all your questions to myself, to the panel, as we unpack, as we have our conversation. Any question that you have, we ask that you utilize the chat function, and we will try and collate all the questions and answer them as much as we can. Any question that we are not able to attend during the session, we'll make sure that we attend to after the webinar. And the webinar will be recorded and made available as well afterwards, as well as the presentation that I will share. So in terms of the agenda, I'll just give everybody a quick overview of the Youth Employment Service. Then we'll jump into our conversation with our panelists. And then from there, we'll have a quick Q&A in terms of addressing some of the questions that you have sent as our audience that we will also try and address. All right, fantastic. And maybe just a quick little short introduction, but I'll do a proper bio of all our panelists. But on the call with me, I do have Shannon Munnick, who is a Senior BBBEE specialist at BE123, representing our channel partners. And from a client perspective, we have Nancy Pakkiri, who's the COE of Skills Development at the Foschini Group. And then I have Danielle Stapowicz, who is the National Training Manager at Famous Brands. So they were our lovely panelists who we appreciate so dearly, and we looking forward to having a great conversation with them. So like I said, chat is available, send through those questions and let's engage. So I'll just take you guys through a presentation in terms of who we are as a youth employment service. And then from there, we can proceed with the agenda of the day. All right, fantastic. So working at the Youth Employment Service is quite an interesting phenomenon for me, myself personally, because it's a great organization. But what makes it great for me is the important work that we are doing in tackling a very critical problem, which is youth unemployment. And there's three things that, as a theme of my 10-minute presentation, that I want to quickly talk you through. So one of the things is, when it comes to economic transformation, why does YES make sense from a policy perspective? Secondly, when it comes to responsible citizenry, sustainability, and sustainability at scale, why does YES make sense from an impact perspective? And then thirdly, when it comes to value propositions integrating into strategy, why does YES make sense from a business perspective? And I suppose that is why we're here, the business case for YES, and hearing from our clients how they integrate YES into some of their business strategies. But let me quickly talk you through who we are as YES. So we're a public-private partnership that's private sector-led and primarily exists to address SA's youth unemployment problem. And this is important because we are government official youth employment initiative. So clients really that participate with YES get recognition at the highest level of government. And how our programs work is we collaborate together with our clients to provide unemployed youth with 12-month quality work experience, where after the program, the youth get CVs, they get reference letters, and they get great experience where our studies show they become 3 times more likely to be employable post the program. And the main thing that makes us who we are is we are custodians of a legislature that incentivizes organizations to participate, and through participation, they're able to gain up to 2 levels on their BBBE scorecards. But more than that, they're also able to integrate YES into some of their impact and sustainability strategies. And our main responsibility is to ensure that from a monitoring and evaluation perspective, the programs are verifiable, they're audited by a creditable independent organization like ourselves. And we're very proud that since inception, we've been able to grow from strength to strength in terms of the impact that we've been able to achieve, which I'll talk you through shortly after. But I also wanted to give you some perspective around us as a growing organization. You know, the work that we do requires us to continuously innovate, to continuously learn, to continuously introduce new things, new technologies, new systems that enable a lot more clients to participate and enable a lot more youth to also be afforded meaningful jobs. And what's exciting to see is just the amount of innovation that we've introduced into our organization. In 2021, we introduced our IP model, which I'll talk you through in terms of how we institute these programs. In 2022, we were able to bring through a call center that enables us to call each youth to ensure that from a monitoring and evaluation perspective, we are able to ensure that youth get the quality work experience that they so desperately need. And from there, following there, we were able to introduce more systems, more technology, and even more courses for our youth that are, you know, future-facing, relevant for where the world of work is today, but more importantly, where the world of work is going. And you can just see from the job numbers how our continuous improvements as we grow have enabled us to add more and more youth into the working economy. I think what's exciting for me is working with an organization that is the best at what they do. And when I say best, I don't say that arrogantly or flippantly. I say best because the work that we do is so important. It requires us really to be a cut above the rest. As a program that is government's official youth employment initiative, it's imperative that as an organization, we're able to show our clients that they're partnering with a service provider who's able to meet their needs. And from an impact perspective, we've been able to demonstrate this by being, you know, the highest, or a program that has the highest number of 12-month full-time minimum wage jobs to date. We're also an organization that boasts the highest number of corporate funders for any program when it comes to youth employment in the world. And we have over 1,830 clients that have enabled us since inception to provide over 170,000 young people meaningful work experiences. And the program itself is quite catalytic because it drives upward mobility. A lot of our youth, 74% of them, come from grant recipient households. So you can see just the trickle effect this has on our economy. And you know, the program itself doesn't only provide, you know, the work experience and salaries there and then, but it also enables the youth to become more employable post the program, with 45% of the youth being able to find meaningful work or work opportunities or ways to participate in the economy post the program. And from an economics perspective, you know, we've deployed 9.6 billion through salaries into the economy, thanks to our clients who sponsor these programs and pay the salaries. But what's also exciting is that 15% of YES youth start their own businesses, right? Which is a huge astronomical number. And we know that, you know, we need small businesses. And a lot of these youth have gone on full circle to employ young people themselves. So this goes to show just how powerful and catalytic these programs are. But beyond, you know, BBBE and beyond the incentive, Yes also has other ways and other strategies and value propositions that we will chat about with our panelists that also integrate within business strategy that, we are very proud to also talk about. So one of them is a lot of our clients utilize YES in their employment equity strategies and how they build a talent pipeline. Secondly, we understand that where we are globally for organizations looking to attract capital. And a lot of our organizations are integrating YES into the S and ESG and into their reporting. And the third thing is, YES integrates quite well within supply chains of our clients, where they can capacitate some of the SMMEs through youth who are hired locally, and these youth are able then to capacitate these businesses to ensure that for the organizations they support in terms of growth, they have the capacity to meet and adhere to that growth. The other thing is we understand branding is important. We understand that PR is important. And from a marketing perspective, the YES brand, the YES logo, the YES badge is something that resonates quite profoundly in the marketplace. And our organizations that partner with us have been able to utilize them being members of a YES initiative to really elevate their brands and leverage from that brand equity that comes with being associated with programs like ours. And the other thing is, through our implementation partner model, which I'll talk through shortly, organizations are also able to lead sector initiatives where they can structure their programs for youth to be hired and deployed within strategic sectors that are of significant importance to the organization. So whether that's green or technology or education, you're able then to be a leader within the sector and utilize your YES program to brand this and position your program within the marketplace. The other thing is we have an quality, you can qualify for the Trusted Employer Scheme. So we have multinationals that also do YES programs, and we understand that from a skills perspective, it's sometimes difficult to bring in, expertise from abroad into the country because of, the hurdles around visas, around applications. And the government has introduced a trusted employer scheme that you can apply for that expedites some of the processes involved with visa applications. And you can utilize your YES program as motivation to qualify for this trusted employer scheme. And then there's also building self-sustaining communities. So a lot of our clients have specific projects and specific localized geographies within the country, and you can tailor-make your program through our implementation partners to drive impact in those spaces. And YES is an independent, verifiable program reporting at the highest level of governance with stringent and sound governance and audited and measures in place to ensure that all the programs adhere to all the stringent and strict requirements required for auditing and reporting perspective. So in terms of how the program works, there's two models. Remember that these are 12-month quality work experiences where the youth have to be paid at least a minimum wage. And from a BBBE perspective, the youth have to be Black as defined by the codes, where we can work out targets, or you can determine the amount of investment in terms of youth numbers that you as an organization want to have. And there are two options. You can either host the youth internally within your business, and you can utilize your own HR practices around recruiting and deploy the youth strategically in areas that make the most sense for your business. However, we do understand that a lot of businesses want to make a difference, but they simply don't have the capacity from a space and availability perspective in terms of roles within their departments or within their businesses. And for them, we have a turnkey solution which is our implementation partner model, where we can host the youth using our managed implementation partners. We can manage the payroll, we can manage the recruitment, and we can ensure absorption post the program. And like I mentioned quickly, the monitoring and evaluation is very important to us. And here we have a call center that engages with all the youth, and it calls the youth to ensure that the youth is working. We compile reports around the engagements the youth is having, not only with the world of work, but also with some of the modules and programs from a learning perspective that we have made available to the youth. And all this is done through the Yes One app that we have developed, that is also part and parcel of the monitoring and evaluation that the youth will have access to, and the supervisors within the business will also have access to. And then what's also great is the youth will have access to what's known as Mindful Matters, which is a comprehensive support program that aims to prioritize the mental well-being of the youth. So that's just an overview of who we are and of how we do what we do, and why should organizations like yourself continue to partner with YES and also do these programs, is because you support a national sector initiative. And this is a high impact, cost-effective initiative that addresses a very important problem in terms of youth unemployment in the country. You can integrate, the BBBEE incentive within your scorecard and within your spend. And over and above that, integrate your program and some of your impact and sustainability strategies within your business and the value propositions that I had alluded to earlier. And we have a verifiable and independent monitoring and evaluation, because we know that from an impact perspective, it's very difficult to mark your own homework. So we do the heavy lifting for you. These programs are recognized at the highest level of government. Also, we report into the DTIC, and we also work together with Business Unity South Africa to ensure that from a youth employment perspective, the interests of businesses are also being well represented. We do bespoke impact research. So we have quite a significant database. We do post-program alumni surveys to ensure that from a data perspective and insights perspective, we're able to provide our clients with rich insights. And this is an MPO with good governance, a strong board that volunteers itself and provides us great leadership. And we have a great set of audited financials as an MPO, where we have been able to demonstrate clean audits since inception. So that is the Youth Employment Service. If you do have any questions, if you would like to get in touch, if you would love to find out how your organizations can partner with us, can institute its own program, lead a sector initiative, understand a little bit more about some of the value propositions we have to offer, get a BBBEE target that we can work out for you in terms of the YES youth you would need to employ and absorb, we are more than happy to have that conversation with you. And like I said, happy to share this presentation and have a more in-depth discussion with you and your team. All righty. But now we are going to jump into our panel discussion. All right, so I'll introduce our speakers. So we have, from a channel partner perspective, Shannon Munnick, a YES top 35, under 35 alumni, a senior BBBEE specialist at BE123. Shannon is a dedicated and client-focused business development professional with a proven track record when it comes to entrepreneurial thinking, exceptional customer acquisition results, and is adept at client relationship management. She started her career in BBBEE compliance, and through the YES program, that's where she started her career, which is remarkable, full circle, and is now a senior BBBEE advisor. Shannon advises over 130 companies. Some of these companies are listed on the JSE, and she advises them on their BBBEE compliance. She holds a Bachelor of Laws LLB degree and is passionate about addressing challenges within the BBBEE ecosystem. So, warm welcome to Shannon Munnick. We have Nancy Pakkiri, COE of Skills Development at the Foschini Group. Nancy is an experienced human resources professional who is skilled in strategic project management, talent development, and has expertise in management strategy pertaining to human resource engagement, training and facilitation, and employee relations. She is a strong generalist with the ability to adapt to the demands of a dynamic business environment and has demonstrated this experience across banking, mining, marketing, and now the retail industry. So welcome, Nancy. And then last but certainly not least, we have Danielle Stapowicz, the National Training Manager at Famous Brands. Danielle is a training and program management professional with nearly 20 years of experience in product development, project planning, and key account management. She leads training initiatives across Famous Brands' markets and has successfully launched innovative products. And Danielle has received multiple awards for this, including Franchise Manager of the Year and ESG Star of the Year. She's passionate about excellence, innovation, and collaboration. So a warm welcome to our panelists. Like I said, we have a chat feature, so please send your questions through to our panelists. Any questions you have for myself or Yes in general will also be more than welcomed. All right, I'll start off with Shannon. Shannon, again, warm welcome. Thank you so much for making the time. We cannot do the work that we do without our channel partners. And so we appreciate you. We appreciate BE123. We appreciate all the BE consultancy. And thank you to everybody that supports us. Shannon, I'd just like to know from you, from a triple BE perspective, you know, what have clients found to be the most valuable aspect about participating in YES programs?
Okay, thank you for having me today. In my experience working with clients, I think I've got 3 underlying themes here. I've written it down. So it's the BEE scorecard benefit, of course, the boost in your actual BEE level and status in itself, where your elements can't get you to that point. A lot of organizations firstly struggle on the ownership element because it is one of the most expensive, one of the most difficult elements to actually comply with, but it is also one of the elements that hold one of the largest amount of points. The second value sort of proposition is impact reporting. So we are very quick to speak about the targets. We're very quick to do this checklist. Yes, I've got my targets. I've got the level that I want, but who are the people behind what you're actually doing? Who are you actually benefiting? And how is that impact reporting actually showing or translating in your business? So I always say to my clients, this is an underlying theme I've got with my clients. Your BEE strategy will never integrate or stand on its own without it actually simultaneously working with your business strategy. They cannot work in silos. So impact reporting is one of them. And last but not least, innovation through solutions. The fact that YES actually has these 2 models that they can actually present to clients, right? As a client, you want to know, how does this benefit my business? Or how can I integrate it into my business? And if I don't see that, I will not see the benefit of YES in itself. So the fact that, of course, if you can't host these individuals in your organization internally, and you're not able to actually take on the payroll costs, you're not able to take the hosting for capacity reasons, operational reasons, you've got these 2 models that you can look at where you can actually be the sponsor, get the benefit, but you can actually not benefit only another organization, but also get the benefit yourself. So those 3 underlying themes always scream out to me.
Wow. Thank you for that. I think I'm going to steal that. Your triple B strategy cannot exist in isolation. It must integrate with your business strategy. I suppose that it makes so much sense, right? I mean, you know, we don't just want to tick boxes, but it's good to hear that there's a way that these compliance requirements actually we can integrate within our BE strategy.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I suppose from a business perspective, Nancy, Foschini Group is obviously a YES client, and we can't do the work that we do without our clients. You know, our clients, from a business development perspective, I know I'm a business development professional, and I always tell my loved ones that my first love is my clients. You know, from there, I can take care of my family and everybody else. So I'm married first to my clients and then to my fiance. But we love our clients. We love the fact that organizations like Foschini Group have really, over the years, partnered with Yes and continue to partner with Yes. But I just want to know from your perspective, why is it important for organizations like Foschini Group to have long-term talent development and employment equity plans?
I think to play off the element around strategy that we've just discussed, ultimately as a business and as an entity, these equity plans or talent development plans fall into your greater business strategy. As a group, we've got a 2030 vision that we want to achieve, and a lot of what we do from a youth development space really filters into what we have planned from an employment equity perspective and creating that pipeline through the different levels from an employment equity perspective. I know there are changes coming in that EE space that everyone is waiting for over the next couple of months, but ultimately, if you're closely aligned to your strategy department or division within the business, you can already start making whatever changes you need to make to support that as you go on to continue in the program. So definitely an element that needs to be considered when you're looking at how you integrate people into the business.
Fantastic. And Nancy, you're the expert here, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Am I correct in saying that talent development actually feeds into employment equity? Is that a correct way to think about it?
Absolutely. So I can give you an example in our space. What we have looked at ultimately is how do we use the youth programs that we have to filter people into different levels within the business and develop them in those levels to move from level to level from an equity perspective. And in that way, we have looked at what training can be provided to youth. So for us, our Yes Youth program reaches between all of the different divisions within TFG. That includes our recent Omni or more recent Omni development within our BASH. And we make sure that we have Yes Youth in the space that can grow within that business that filter needs from IT to service delivery in the space. Similarly, in our logistics area, where we look at some of the shortages of skills as employees move from being entry level into a more senior level. And our Yes Youth in that space have a layered program that includes supervisory development so that they're prepared to come into the business, understand what their role is at the moment, but also quickly move through into a more senior role within the business. And they're equipped for the future success, sort of 3 to 5 years down the line when we look at it. So that's some things that those are things that we have done within our space to support that development.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense on so many levels. Like when I think about it macroeconomically, the reason why we have to get more people to participate in the economy is so that we can create more customers for our businesses to exist. But also internally, we need the right expertise to manage this growth and take care of these people. So I love the long-term thinking when it comes to how you've structured the Yes programs. And Danielle, right, from Famous Brands, we absolutely love Famous Brands. Myself personally, I'm a huge breakfast fan. So when it comes to Mug and B, when it comes to Wimpy's, I don't mind spending an arm and a leg, which I don't because it's so affordable. So absolutely love. And I have a great metabolism, so I stay in shape. So thank you. But more than that, thank you so much for supporting Yes, for being a very valuable client, much like the Foschini Group throughout the years, and partnering with us to not only tackle this problem, but also integrate it within your business in a way that makes strategic sense. And I'm interested to know why is it so important for organizations like Famous Brands to have a talent pipeline for their businesses?
Well, thank you for the question, and thanks for having me, Thabo. With us, I think it's very similar to what Nancy was saying, is that we all have a strategic plan, and we all in business and for our business to grow. And for us, we are a franchise business, so we have so many different sides or divisions to the business. For us, it allows us to put people into place at entry level, and to one of the main things and is that we train them our way. We have a restaurant and we have brand standards and we have things that have to comply. And often when we get people from outside and we'll shuffle them into positions, they come with previous experience and different ways of doing things. And we do particularly want, in a restaurant environment, things done a certain way, because that is what franchising is. You get the same breakfast at this Wimpy to the Wimpy in Sandton to the Wimpy in Cape Town, etc. So one of the things is that with yes, it's a starting position, an entry level position, but with us, it's so much more, because we are able to train the people and take the people on and get them to be the employees we want them to be, and to mold them and to get them. And with that, also what happens, because we're a franchisee business, our franchisees are so willing then to take them on and accept them on a full-time basis, because now we're saying, well, here you go, here's a full-time trained employee, and it works so well in that. They don't have to take someone without experience and now go through the pain of training them. We've done that for them. So that's one of our key things. And also, it is very much a business of entry-level positions, Famous Brands. While we have a lot of growth and a lot of positions available, it's the entry level that allows us to put people in. But of course, if you've put the work in with them, you want to grow them. And having that pipeline is so important for us, to make sure that the pipeline just keeps moving and the people keep moving up as well. Very important for us. Does that answer you?
It does. It does. I love the people keep moving and the people keep moving up. And I suppose it makes sense, you know, if you think about it, the way you are positioning it, it's almost like a 12-month interview, right? Where you get to assess in terms of the future requirements of the business. Do these individuals, you know, do they get the culture, and do they have the goods? And then from there, you're able then to deploy them within, you know, the franchises based on, you know, the right people and the right fit. So that makes a lot of sense. Shannon, I'll come back to you. You know, in your experience, what other areas of the BBBEE scorecard? I know you mentioned some of them around, you know, ownership, but you know, when we look at the scorecard, there's quite a number of pillars. What other areas of the scorecard are you finding clients integrating the YES programs in?
Okay. So in my experience and having a look at so many scorecards that we work with as a consulting firm, I think the three main elements that I've seen YES integrate so well into would be management control, skills development, enterprise and supply development. I am actually going to add a fourth one and say SED. I'll elaborate further on that last one. Management control, obviously, because we speak about a 12-month quality work experience for this YES initiative candidate, and you take them on as an employee. So based on that, that's exactly what we're measuring on the management control element is what is your breakdown of demographics in certain management categories within your organization. And obviously, the more individuals that you add into those management categories, the better your points. It obviously does depend on the demographics, because we do break it down per EAP target, but the more people or the bigger the pool is, the more you've actually got to work with and obviously meet your targets. Skills development, I mean, when we think skills development, automatically for me, I think succession planning in an organization. You think, if you want to look at promotions in an organization, or even in recruitments or sort of restructuring within your organization, what are you looking to within those individuals, experience, qualifications, and integration into your business? So you need to actually have that workplace requirement in those individuals in order to sort of meet those targets or strategies that you've got in place. So management control, skills development. And then I'm seeing a lot of integrating into enterprise and supply development. It makes me smile because not only are you looking at individuals from an employability perspective, but you're looking at them from entrepreneurial skills as well. Not everybody is going to be a Shannon and can't see herself as a business owner. Shannon works well in corporate and is a great employee. I'm obviously hyping myself up. I would hope I'm a great employee, but not everybody is going to want to be an employee. There is that person that has that fantastic business idea, or there is that individual that has that idea for a charity organization, an NPC or NPO, and that also falls into the SED element. So I'm seeing so many organizations now coming to me and saying, I had a Yes Initiative candidate. This individual was in my organization. We couldn't absorb them, but they've started a business. Where is the benefit that we could see that on our scorecard? And I immediately think, let's think about first and foremost the qualifying criteria on enterprise and supply development and SED and see if whatever they've done actually meets the requirements there. So, I mean, fantastic integration across the scorecard, really.
Sure. That is amazing. So skills development, enterprise supply development, management control, and SED are the areas that you've seen a lot of clients integrating within their scorecards, the year's program. And it makes sense the way you explain it. You know, the more you guys speak, the more I'm learning and the more light bulbs are going on in my head around, actually, you know, if you think about the experience this youth is getting. Like if I want to start a coffee shop one day and I get to work at Famous Brands and, you know, learn how to be a world-class barista, and I'm able then to integrate within the very same supply chain that supported me, then even from an ESD, our clients are able to benefit. So it's like this win-win-win for us, for the youth, for our clients, and for the economy at large, which is fantastic. And speaking about win-win-wins, I'll jump to you, Nancy. We know that, you know, the Foschini Group has seen a lot of success with the YES program in terms of its integration within your own talent development plans and, you know, your own sort of employment equity plans. Are there any specifics that you can shed light on in terms of how the Foschini Group over the years has integrated, you know, YES program into their development plans and how they've learned and adjusted? Because you've done multiple programs, and I'm interested to hear, is there any learnings and adjustments you've made as you've instituted and implemented different YES programs pertaining to how they integrate within your talent development plan and EE?
Yeah, I think if I can start. So we are in our technically planning for the 5th year, but we're in our 4th year at the moment. And if I think about the evolution of what we've done, initially the Yes Youth program for us was held solely in stores, and we felt that that was the only application at the time for how we could integrate youth into, or the Yes Youth into the business. And over the years, we've evolved to extending it from our retail stores to our contact centers, our distribution centers, even in our manufacturing distribution centers. So we've gone through a process of understanding the value of implementing the program, but also understanding that we as a business are always constantly doing youth development. And the right way for us to show the difference that we make in youth development in the South African space is to invest in the program. It formalizes all of the work that we are doing from a youth employment perspective, and it supports that strategy that we have from a development perspective. So as we move through the years of the program, we've looked at where are we actually expanding, and where we're expanding, how many people can we employ, and how do we make that sort of career development in those spaces tangible, sustainable, giving them the ability to transition over a period of time. So I would say that it's been very strategic in terms of growing that program, making sure that internal business stakeholders understand how to implement within these spaces, and then extending that. And it's been a journey. I think what is unbelievable is that when people understand the purpose, they are always willing to support. And I think if you can get the purpose across, there are lots of different areas of the business that can find use for what we are doing here from a youth employment perspective.
Sure, that is amazing. And again, a huge congratulations for the important work that you do. And, you know, we obviously liaise with you, but we often take it for granted that you then have to go on and liaise with different parts of the Foschini group. And I love the thinking around, you know, the program makes sense from a capacitating these various areas that we as a business have identified as important for our own growth. And it's so interesting to hear the evolution, you know, of youth not only now being placed in stores, but even within quite critical parts of the engine that moves the Foschini group, whether that's, you know, the contact centers or distribution centers, which also, I suppose, when you're intentional about where you place the youth based on internal business strategy, then you're intentional about hiring the right youth, enabling them then to get the relevant support. And then from there, the youth automatically, I assume, show up and absorption becomes almost a no-brainer. But speaking of absorption, I'm going to jump to you, Danielle, who similarly to the Foschini group, you've also participated in quite a number of years programs throughout the year and have significantly, you know, absorbed quite a high number of these youth post these programs. So the absorption numbers for Famous Brands are quite high. So, you know, I'm sure the audience and myself is interested to know, how has Famous Brands, you know, maintained high absorption levels in the years program and use this years program to develop, you know, this talent pipeline that we keep chatting for, specifically for their businesses. And also through the years, you know, what learnings have you found and how have you adjusted to ensure that you get maximum value out of your years program? Sorry, Danielle, if you wouldn't mind unmuting your mic. Thank you.
Apologies. I think for us, it's very similar to the Foschini's group. We're also in planning for our year 5. When we first started, we started with baristas alone. We now have 9 different streams that we offer across our business. We have a call center that takes orders for, if you're going to order a burger through Steers. We have a point of sale business where we actually own or in partnership with the point of sale. So when you're in store, it's how do you order through a point of sale system. We do sushi specialists now. We do junior managers, and we've managed to look at what the needs are of our business and where are the opportunities for growth for us and for the youth. One of the things that we say, especially to anybody that's in a restaurant environment, if you want a job, we will get you a job after yes. You're not necessarily with us, but with a franchisee, definitely. We currently sit within for our past year with a 91% absorption for in-store and 86 overall, because we do have some interns, etc., and everything else. But I think one of the things is that we also try to identify the cream of the crop is one of our other key factors that we look at doing. And we try to then if we find great people and key people, we make sure that they stay within the organization. And most of the time, those people we then put on secondary and even sometimes a third learnership. We have employed learnerships. So we're actually taking them and we've identified them. We've invested in them. So we want to carry on investing in them. And I think one of the things that has happened is that we share a lot of these stories every year. I feel sorry for some of these alumni. I make them stand up in front of the other ones and say, look, this is where you can go. This is what you can be. We've got actually had a meeting this morning. We've got 3 ladies that started as baristas. They're now actually working as trainers. They're going out 3 years later, and they are training people in store. And I think one of the things is seeing the opportunities. So it's great to have the pipelines and the plans for the pipelines, but it's making sure that it happens, making sure that you're pushing everything through. Because as a workforce, whether you're from Yes or not, if you see movement within the environment you're in, it becomes a happier place. It becomes a place where you can see a future for yourself. So I think this is one of the things that helps us greatly is it's kind of a catch-22. Our absorption is great because it's been great and because we keep at it. And we still also keep our database from our first year. If we have any positions available, we send out adverts. We constantly share. We would rather give the positions to people that we've previously invested in than to outside. So to keep people just coming through is the biggest. I think it's the biggest win for us. As I say, we're about to plan year 5. If I just look around my environment, the people the younger members of staff that are with us, how they've grown, but so many of them come from the YES program. When I go into store, I see learners, well, they were learners, they were baristas, they're now store managers. So it's a wonderful thing. But I think just seeing that and showing that, and it just becomes a positive. And it's the way we work. The plan is to absorb. So I think we just go gung-ho and we work towards that. But having also the different streams now, having 9 different streams. So we've got baristas, sushi, call center agents, point of sale. We've got people in our logistics, in our warehouses, that we also open up, that there's constantly new positions coming up. And as I said before, there is constant movement because people are always moving. And our business is growing. So we would always need to have that new blood coming in at entry level. So yeah, that's with us. I think one of our wins is our absorption works because we've absorbed before. Yeah. If that helps.
No, it helps quite a bit. I love this cycle of impact, absorption, and the more we absorb, the more you win, the more you win, the more we absorb. And yeah, phenomenal results, 91%, 86% overall is certainly something to be exceptionally proud of. So thank you once again. So we're going to jump to our panel questions. Our Q&A questions. So we've got some questions that we've themed together that have come through. Like I said to our audience participating, a lot of the questions have come through. Some of them that we are not able to address here, we will ensure that we get those typed up and emailed to you directly. But a couple of questions coming through in terms of themes for you, Shannon. So 2 questions I want to ask you. All righty. So from a BBBEE perspective, how does a YES program compare to a learnership when it comes to the BBBEE codes? And can companies do both? And then secondly, how are the YES targets calculated? And what are the requirements for companies wanting to improve their BBBEE scorecard by 2 levels?
Okay, so I'll answer your first question. First and foremost, skills development is very separate to the YES initiative. The YES initiative is a program. It's a separate sort of enhancement on your BEE scorecard, and skills development is an actual element on your scorecard. Number one, speaking to that point, you cannot also double count. So you can't necessarily put your YES initiative candidates also on a learnership or have your learnership candidates on a YES initiative program. Keep the 2 separate. Also, just to ensure better integration in terms of your scorecard, always keep it separate to avoid double counting. The mistakes that people or entities, let me say, make when it comes to these 2 is that, well, how does it differ? Let me answer your question more directly. How does it differ? Is that what we're finding on the skills development side is, I always say to my clients, always approach your skills development strategy from an inside out perspective. Inside out is look at what you need internally in your organization and work on the skill sets that's needed in your organization first before you actually look to capping on that and then looking at external sort of candidates. What we are finding as a problem, and I will always speak to pros and cons when it comes to transformation, because that is the truth of it. And what we're finding on the skills development side of things is what we're calling a learnerpreneur culture. Okay, we do not want to encourage this sort of jumping from one learnership to the next. Speaking to Danielle's point, we want to encourage and we want to really promote absorbable individuals in organizations. How do you make them absorbable if we're not actually trying to push for these people to be absorbed in organizations? And the definition of that is permanent employment contracts. If one individual is jumping from one learnership to the next, it's really not within the intent and purpose of the actual BEE legislation and transformation. And that, I think, is what we're seeing a little bit different with YES. You're getting that quality, and that was actually a very underlying theme for me, is quality work experience. That is the ROI for the actual organization. You get the quality work experience out of the individual, and you get the quality work experience for yourself as an organization, and that's how the individual becomes more absorbable in your organization. And quality work experience is also what the ROI for the actual individual. I saw an amazing quote the other day that says, can we move away from fake it till we make it and move into faith it till we make it? Faith it is, do you have faith in yourself as an individual? Have you really have you enhanced your skill as an individual? And I think that's what the YES initiative is there for, because it takes somebody like myself who was a fresh graduate, knew nothing about the corporate space, and here I am today, whereas you get the return on investment as an organization. So I think that's the first question. If I can just have a repeat of the second question, Thabo. You're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. It was just regarding the targets in terms of
how we calculate the targets. So it's different. It definitely depends on the size, what size you are as an organization. So we've got what we call a generic entity, a QSE entity. EME entities can also participate in YES. Please do not think you're exempt. You can also participate in YES. You might not get a scorecard or sort of a certificate boost, but I mean, you can do it just because really it is the right thing to do. QSEs and EMEs, there is a specific table that we use according to the legislative guidelines that we've gotten from the Gazette, the YES Initiative Gazette. When it comes to generic entities, we actually work out your targets based on 3 calculations that we do. So we take your prior year revenue, we take your prior 3 years net profit after tax, and we take your prior year's head count, and we work out a calculation, and we take the highest number from that calculation, and we'll work out your target. If you want to obviously meet your 1 level boost, it's meeting your target plus your 5% absorption. 1 level boost plus 3%, it's 1.5% of target, and your 5% absorption, and 2 level boost is you double your targets. I always influence and promote my clients and try to double it up. But it obviously depends on what you would like to see in terms of your scorecard status at the end of the day. So it really helps, where I said, like, a lot of organizations may not be able to meet maybe your ownership points. You're struggling a little bit in terms of expenditure on skills development. We know higher education is an expensive indicator. So we need to really see where we can say, okay, we might not be able to meet this sort of criteria. Where can we look at really I would say scaling on the rest of the elements in terms of the YES initiative. I hope I've answered both your questions.
Yes, you have, very clearly. Thank you for that. I love the moving away from the learnerpreneurship culture. I love that. And I'm also stealing faith it till we make it. Lastly, before we close, last questions for Nancy and Danielle. I'll start with you, Nancy. I think the question here coming through in terms of themes is, how does the YES monitoring and evaluation function support the Foschini Group in managing such, high numbers of youth placement? And the audience also asks if you can share advice. So any way any advice that you can give organizations that want to integrate YES programs into some of their talent development or 5-year employment equity plans would be greatly appreciated.
So just on that first one, in terms of monitoring and evaluation, the group as a whole at the moment employs over 1,500 just in this year. It excludes our rollover humans. Yes, youth that are obviously being trained through the modules that are available. And we sit with a modest team within the space. So definitely in terms of understanding the engagement of the youth with the training, as well as the engagement of the youth in the stores, because it's twofold, really. It's how much training or what training has been experienced by the learner and what the quality of that training is, as well as what the experience is that they're receiving in our different environments. We rely on the team to basically highlight areas that we need to support a little better and or adjust our plans. Ultimately, without the information, I don't think we would have been able to be as successful as we have been and grow the program over the period that we have grown it. Because, I mean, I think in our first year, we did just under 500 people. And to host, I think in this year, there are close to 1,800 humans on the program. So as we think about that over that 4-year period with our modest team of humans internally, really it's a collaboration of information sharing and support that helps us to manage our programs better. Regarding the second question on advice for integration into your current strategies, I would say go and investigate what your headcount changes have been. So as a business, you're probably already growing, and whatever that change is, as a business, you can identify that most likely you would be taking in inexperienced people, whether they be qualified or unqualified. They're more likely to be inexperienced people while you elevate current existing people. So as you look at what your growth plans are over the next few years, months, whatever period that you're planning for, is just try and identify in these spaces, are there opportunities for me to make it valuable from a youth placement perspective, whether that be skills development or youth development under the YES program, and or is there a case study for us to do both? There are in BBBEE often caps that you reach and numbers that you can't get past, yet you're doing so much investment, and for an entity of our size, we are doing a lot of investment in the space between the two programs or two areas of the scorecard. If you think of YES on its own, as Shannon mentioned, or skills development, between those two, we have over 3,500 people in this year. And it makes sense for us to balance both sides and achieve in both areas. So really look at that strategy, really look at what your investment is and start to integrate this as part of your everyday, is what I would say.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm going to jump straight to you, Danielle, because we're running out of time. So we've got a couple of minutes left. But from a Famous Brands perspective, two things. One, how do the learning modules on the YES One app support some of the capability requirements of the youth the business seeks to absorb post the programs? And secondly, if you have any success stories of youth that have participated who are now, permanently employed with Famous Brands, please can you share? And if you wouldn't mind just unmuting your microphone. Sorry, Danielle, if you can just unmute the mic.
I don't know what my mouse is not. Apologies. I think a lot of our is very similar to Nancy, is having the information, having it shared. But with us, we have two sets of learning for every learner that's on the YES program, or every youth that's on the YES program. And one is the YES modules. And with that, we find I use the term teaching them how to adult, because some of them are great and some of them come to work and do everything that they're supposed to, and others just never have been exposed to this environment. And the YES modules, what they do is they get that mindset shift where, okay, I have to work, I have to get up, I have to listen to my manager, I must contact. And we see the ones that are the learners that complete the modules fast, that go through everything, they are usually the star performers within our environment. We also find that it just helps them understand so much more. So many of them, when they're coming in at an entry level, just have not had exposure. So the modules themselves are it's just wonderful. But what we also do is that we make sure that the learners, every learner, whatever job you're in, you have a training pathway and you complete that training pathway so that your learnership is meaningful, and at the end of it you have a skill. Whether we've taught you how to make coffee, how taught you to make sushi, we've shown you how to work in a warehouse, you have an actual skill. And I think that's one of the most important things. I actually saw, we've got one of our learners, he came here this morning. He was from our Yes Year 2, Cabello. He works at our coffee company when you talk about success stories. He actually came in as a barista, and he does have some disabilities, and he couldn't read the screen. So we placed him at our coffee company working as a barista and helping out. He's now a full-time trainer, and he's actually helping with blend development. They're doing a tasting today and blend development. And he's just grown because he's had the care, he's had the training, and he's been shown what to do. He hasn't been just left kind of to his own devices. And I think that's one of the most important things with YES, is caring for the youth in the way of, I'm not saying you must mollycoddle them, but in caring for them as making sure that they're doing the YES modules, making sure they're learning something and not just a number. That's very, very important to us, that they're not a number, that it's everybody, we know everyone's name. We have a lot invested in this. And with that, we can get the growth. So I hope I can tell you about another 25 or 200 stories per youth, but there's so many that have grown with us. And like I say, it's the care, and the care is sometimes tough love. Sometimes it's just training them, showing them how to do something. Sometimes it's just having a conversation with them. But I think the care is important, and that human element, I love the way that Nancy also talks about, we always say people, but she says human, and it's very important, that human element, yeah. So, yes.
Thank you so much, Danielle. We've reached the end of our webinar. Unfortunately, time has flew so quickly. But to our audience, I really hope and trust that this has been insightful. Thank you so much for availing yourselves and giving us an hour of your time in this conversation. And to our panelists, man, I knew this was going to be great, but I didn't realize just how great it was going to be. I've learned so much and looking forward to continuing the conversations. But thank you so much, Nancy, Danielle, Shannon, for availing yourselves and really pouring out insights that I hope everybody in the webinar who was listening in really found them to be valuable. Like I said, this webinar is recorded and we will share it. The questions that we weren't able to answer, we've collated and collected all of them. So we will be emailing answers through and sharing the presentation. But all those who are interested, please pop us a mail if you want to know more, if you want to participate in the program. Myself and the team eagerly await to see how we can get more young, unemployed people meaningfully participating in the economy in a way that integrates with our business strategy. So thank you, and let's get to work.